Hello. And so in the third of this series, we come now to what happened once the OEC and SICM decided to separate, the early history of the Open Episcopal Church. The first significant meeting of the College of Bishops of the Open Episcopal Church took place at Newnham House in London in July 2002, prior to the separation of the OEC and SICM at Liverpool in October of that year. The most contentious issue concerned primacy in the Church. The canons did not provide for singular leadership. The Church was to be governed by a College of Bishops. When 12 bishops had been consecrated, they would elect 3 archbishops who would form the Provincial Episcopal Synod and bear the ultimate responsibility for the Church. This was to emulate a Trinitarian model of governance. Likewise, in a diocese, 3 diocesan bishops would be appointed, so that power and authority would not be invested in one person, rather a community. However, while this had been accepted the previous year, early on Bishop Palmer wished there to be a single primate. It proved highly contentious. I was adamant a single primacy would prove our undoing, and my fear proved to be prophetic, although the Church was saved by a carefully worded proposal presented by Bishop-elect Reverend Professor Elizabeth Stewart, based on a compromise accepted by the bishops in the end, which sought to accommodate all the concerns expressed. This allowed for the election of a primate. However, it carefully prescribed that the executive power of the Church was vested in the College of Bishops and not the primate, and that the college was not bound to submit to the archbishop if they believed him or her to be in error, and that the primate was only elected for 5 years, after which they would not be able to stand again for re-election. Bishop Palmer was then duly elected as archbishop. The next major event was the consecration of Bishop Elizabeth Stewart at the chapel of Royal Holloway and Bedford New College, the University of London, Egham in Surrey, in April 2003. This was to be the first consecration of a Catholic woman bishop in the world, and news about it had provoked considerable reaction. So much so that the university had been approached by various denominations to deny the Church use of the chapel, one even threatening to withdraw funding from the chaplaincy should the service go ahead. It did. The first Congress of the Church then was held at London Colney in June 2004, when we experienced the significant juxtaposition of Bishop Elizabeth Stewart concluding a Mass in their beautiful and grand chapel, with Cardinal Cormac Murphy O'Connor, the Archbishop of Westminster, watching from the pews, awaiting the start of the Mass he was taking straight afterwards. Another important experience at London Colney was attending the graveyard of the church at South Mimms, where Archbishop Arnold Harris Matthew is buried. The College of Bishops then met at Weston Manor in Oxfordshire the following January. By then we had received a number of requests from abroad to provide oversight to fledgling churches or to plant new OEC churches. Out of concern that with the possible appointment of new bishops from abroad, the voting power of the College of Bishops could influence the Church away from its core vision, it was decided to inaugurate a College of Cardinals, made up of the 4 existing bishops to whom the vision of the OEC was seen to be entrusted. However, there were also problems emerging. The first involved the newly ordained leaving for other jurisdictions. The second, the increasing focus of a Catholic cultural approach to the Church's life. The highest casualty was Bishop Michael Wilson, who resigned from the Church. While the leaving of priests had been regrettable, this came as a body blow, not least because I had spent many hours placating Bishop Michael when he felt concerned or aggrieved about the way the Church was going. Bishop Wilson came from an evangelical perspective, and in the end he felt he had to leave to continue his own missionary work. The second Congress was held at Whaley Hall in Whaley Bridge in the summer of 2005, and in October Roger Whatley was consecrated a bishop in the chapel of the Amadown Conference Centre. But greater clouds were gathering. Bishop Palmer would soon be nearing the end of his 5-year term as Archbishop. he wished to continue, but the church, at variance to its origins, was becoming less eclectic, more focused on issues of Catholic rectitude, and reliant upon concepts of authoritarian leadership and expected obedience. In addition, Bishop Palmer had other personal pressures with which he was dealing. The Liberal Catholic Church Corporation had taken out action in the High Court against Bishop Palmer, and Bishop Palmer had taken out action against Bishop Wale and the Liberal Catholic Church Corporation in the Portsmouth County Court. Neither actions were to prove effective, but the strain of this litigation made Bishop Palmer's reactions at times unpredictable, and despite the support Bishop Stewart and I provided him during this time, he became aggrieved with us. The College of Bishops met at the Parish Church of Southampton in January 2006 for what was meant to be a conciliatory and productive meeting, and in some ways it was. But an attempt to alter the requirement for the Archbishop to stand down after 5 years was not successful. It was clear that Archbishop Palmer's primacy was nearing its end, and it left him far from happy. The subsequent days saw the Church plunge into crisis, as Bishop Palmer sought to usurp control of the Church as Archbishop away from the College of Cardinals. The aftermath of Archbishop Palmer's court cases had proved to be difficult months, for discussions had continued in the College of Bishops about some of the facts which had emerged during the hearings. Bishop Palmer had taken offence at this and now threatened to withdraw holy orders from anyone who persisted in these discussions. This created further consternation, and the questions persisted. Bishop Palmer issued an interdict of impaired communion against me, and sought to gain the support of the clergy to disassociate from me. Bishop Elizabeth Stewart, on behalf of the College of Cardinals, issued an ad clarem, making it clear that Archbishop Palmer had no authority to issue the interdict, and called on the clergy to indicate their rejection of it. It became clear that the majority supported the College of Cardinals, recognising that they were acting within the canons of the Church. On February the 7th, Archbishop Palmer withdrew the interdict of impaired communion against me and left the Open Episcopal Church. Unfortunately, he took some of the clergy with him, and Bishop Whately, to found a new church. However, it was only months later that Bishop Whately left that new church, as did many of the clergy. For the Open Episcopal Church, thankfully, the crisis was over, and we could now attend to the healing of the divisions that had been created. And that will form the subject of the next video, which will take us up to the present day.